This podcast is a proud member of the UUOP network.
This is episode 602 of the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast for March 12th, 2024.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another show. We are so glad you are joining us again and again. We will bring you some more fun. Yeah, we're going to bring you some more Universal content. As Michelle isn't here and we needed an expert, we brought in our own SME, joined by Tracy's Taste of Universal co-host. We have Kayla. Hey, Kayla.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here as your SME runner.
Yes. We needed you on this one because, as you know, the other hosts of this show aren't very SME'd in that area. So, but I am not by myself. I am joined with Lee.
Hello, everyone. Look, I'm not averse to exercise. No offense to our guest, I find running incredibly boring. I'd rather play a sport.
We'll get into that.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Good way to start the show off. And his lovely lady wife, Tracy.
Oh, hello. I'm the one that's broken.
Broken?
Yeah, I can't run.
True.
Because everything's broken.
Old age.
Now, as we were getting into it, joining us from the Universal Orlando Run Club, we have Austin and Amanda. How's it going, guys?
Hello all. How are you?
Doing well.
Hello.
Good, yeah. This has been in the works for quite a while. Austin reached out to me last year, and then I think it was just before Halloween Horror Nights, if I remember rightly, which obviously we were slammed because we were coming out for Horror Nights. But I wanted to make this happen, and it kind of got pushed back, but we are here. It is happening.
Yes. Exciting.
Yes.
Oh, I think Lee just wanted to see me run to catch up with him. That's all. He just wanted me to prove it.
Now, before we get talking about the Run Club, Austin and Amanda, can you both please introduce yourselves and let us know about your history with Universal Orlando?
Hi. So I have been a longtime fan of Universal. I actually grew up in California, and then before we moved to the East Coast, and ever since probably fifth grade, we've been going to Universal in Orlando. So it's been a long family history. I moved here about over 7 years ago, and I remember actually on a run, I saw a billboard for one of the Mardi Gras concerts. I'm like, oh, I really want to go today. And that was actually what started my annual pass purchase was Mardi Gras. So this is like a little anniversary for me in this month. And I'm going to admit, I'm powerless against the allure of Harry Potter and any Wizarding World merch. I have no, there's no level that they cannot tempt me with. I will look, I will love, I'll unfortunately buy. Well, maybe not unfortunately for Universal, but unfortunately for my bank account.
Yeah, you're their target demo.
I'm their target, basically. I am their gullible.
Yes. Well, we can pull back the curtains. This is the first time we spoke to Amanda. And when we got her on this Google Meets call, she was more interested in the Harry Potter backgrounds that were available than kind of everything else that was going on at that point. And hey, I don't fault you at all.
Very true.
Awesome. All right. So I've also been going to Universal for quite some time. The first time was very memorable in 2005 around the holidays. And since then, I've really developed a passion for the parks. I'd say Islands of Adventure specifically. That's definitely the bread and butter of the resort for me. And after rediscovering Universal later in life, I developed a big passion for themed entertainment at large. Specifically the design aspect of it, and that really became my life's focus. So I would come down here a few times a year after that first family trip, once I got my driver's license, yay, and purchased my first UUOP pass in 2018. And then I would just continue the pilgrimage just about, once a quarter down to Universal. And that finally caused me to move here in early of 2023.
It's hilarious how many people who live in Florida or the Orlando area that have moved there specifically for the theme parks.
I mean, I don't blame them.
No, I don't.
Well, not to give too much information, but I literally live right behind Men in Black Alien Attack.
Nice.
So I don't think you could be at Universal any more than I am. Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow. We
That's the
found your
dream.
guys' apartment whenever you guys come over. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Austin and Amanda, it's really great to have you on the show. As Lee said, it's been a long time coming. So can you give our listeners a history of the Universal Orlando Run Club, how and why it was created and how it's grown?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think you're going to need to get comfortable because
Okay.
this is going to be a little long-winded. I
Hit
think
us
to
with it.
really answer that question properly, I'm going to have to take you back in time a little bit. So back in 2015, I was living in Charlotte. I mentioned I rediscovered Universal as an adult. And at that time, personally, I don't want to get too negative here. I was just really, really unfocused, unorganized, unmotivated. I was working jobs that I didn't really care for at the time, and I didn't really know where my place was in the world, not to put too fine a point on it. And I hadn't really found anything that inspired me to develop myself personally and professionally until that time that I revisited Universal in October of 2015. So I still remember the night before I left, I was looking up at the Iowa Lighthouse in Port of Entry, and that night I just couldn't shake the feeling that this is where I'm supposed to be and this is what I'm meant to do. It was just so obvious to me. And the whole car ride back for a few years after, I knew I wanted that life, but I just didn't really know how to get there, and it seemed like such a tall mountain to climb, right? I mean, being a part of this beast of a company, how could I get there, you know? So I kept thinking, who am I to be a part of that world? You fast forward to 2017, when I made a red-eye car drive after a double shift waiting tables for the closing of Dragon Challenge. I think we all remember that.
Yes.
Is when I met a team member, and that interaction changed my life forever. And that's the truth of it. I was dining at Mythos, and my server noticed my vintage Dueling Dragon shirt, so he struck up a conversation with me about the old days of IOA. He had actually been here since the park's grand opening.
Nice.
So I shared my goals with him, and I think he could really see the doubt and the frustration, fear in my eyes. So he asked, he's like, well, how's that going for you? So I started sharing how I really felt about how unable I was to get where I wanted to be and how discouraging the journey was so far. And at the end of the meal, he shared a little bit of his backstory with me, and he offered me some advice, which was to start running.
Okay.
So here I am thinking, well, what does running have to do with theme park design, right? I mean, I think a lot of your listeners are probably wondering the same thing right now.
Yeah.
And he just asked a very simple favor of me, which was that I trusted him and I keep him updated on my progress toward my goals. So we became Facebook friends, and sure enough, we checked in with each other, I would say once every quarter of a year or so. And he would ask me, how's it going? Are you running? How's life working out for you? So after I returned from that trip, I purchased a pair of running shoes, my first pair of running shoes. You never forget that. And I got to work. So nothing ever mattered more to me than this passion. And I wanted something that was a really difficult trial to really drive that home, right? I wanted to do something very difficult so I could prove to myself that I deserved where I wanted to be. And I could think of nothing more difficult than running. So one day while I was at work, again, waiting tables, I had an idea to figure out how many miles there were between my apartment and Universal Orlando's parking gate. So that number turned out to be 556 miles. So I promised myself I was going to complete every one of those miles, not on a treadmill, no cheating, before allowing myself to move.
Wow.
So, yeah. And during that whole time, I really pushed myself just about every day to see how much faster, farther I could get. As you can imagine, saw a lot of progress as that time went on, though it wasn't easy. And I began to develop confidence, focus, and just an overall willingness to get comfortable being extremely uncomfortable. The story from that point is way, way, way too long for this podcast and much too detailed. But suffice to say, running is what gave me the mental tools I needed to realize my goals. So after I completed that final mile, I realized I had absolutely grown into the person who was ready to take on the challenges that waited for me down here in Orlando. So I decided to move, and shortly after, I ended up landing a job in the industry where I've been able to do a lot of the things I dreamed about for all of those years. And a popular mission in themed entertainment that I discovered being part of the Inside is giving back to the community that supports it, right? So after all that time focusing on myself and kind of blocking the world out, I realized it was time to spread that message and hopefully inspire others to give that pathway a try. And even more, I was really determined to honor that initial interaction I had with the team member by bringing that message back to the place where it began for me. So here we are, and UORC was created. So our mission really is to get out there and find people who may be stuck in the funk of life and offer them a potential way out. We really do this through community and just kind of sweating it out together, right? There's nothing forges a bond quite like sweat equity. That's just a fact.
Nothing forces it like getting together in Harry Potter in the train after a run. We all learned that lesson really quick.
Absolutely. And truly, it's been amazing to see what the people can do with just a few simple words of encouragement. I mean, we live in a crazy, crazy world that those types of words are getting rarer and rarer every day. Yes. We're trying to offer a place that's nothing but that. And lots of folks come to Universal, right, to escape the struggles of the world. Yep. I think we've probably all been there ourselves at one point or another. And we just try to kind of flip that on its head and show them that this place can be more than that. It can also be a place of inspiration to succeed in whatever your goals may be.
Yeah, I think we've said it many times on the podcast before with the community that we've grown through the years of doing this, that those interactions with for you guys, it's the runners who come to your club. For us, it's listeners and the people that we've had on the show, that those interactions are the things that when all this is said and done, they're the things that you'll remember more than anything.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Talk about a serendipitous
Amanda,
moment.
what do you have to say?
You exactly what you're saying. Like, I think that first run club meeting, I was someone who got caught on Facebook, right? I actually had an injury that kept me from running for about 4 years. And I was slowly building up mileage, planning for my comeback. And I was not consistent. And I saw this thing. I'm like, well, I have a Universal Pass. I have a reason to go on the weekends. I'm going to be walking more. Let me go to this run club. And I was nervous. But that first session, like, everyone was so welcoming. And when you go into the parks, you're chatting the whole time, and you're going through City Walk, like, oh, I want to try this food, or I want to go to the store, or here's this event happening. And it's literally a social group wall move to eat and have coffee and then go ride Universal Parks. So it's been amazing. And I think I started as just a fan, right? A member of the club. And now I've gone to like the admin side where I hope to grow the club along with Austin and others. And I think one of the unique things we have is that we get to do things kind of special within Universal, with different events and different aspects of going to things like Hard Rock or getting to see things behind the scenes at the hotel. That has been kind of fun to kind of grow our love of Universal. I'm sure you all have that, like where you've been to an activity where just one person, a team member or someone else in your friend group says, hey, did you know this about this ride, or what was here before this ride was here? And you get to kind of get that history of Universal. You get to learn a bit more about that person and really see that positivity and that love, for Universal and for your fellow, fans. That's because that's what we are. We're fans. Yeah. Right. And I think that's part of the true success, that as this club has grown, we are unofficial ambassadors of Universal. Trust me, we're not getting, paid to come and say this. Yeah, but, we know. We are unofficial ambassadors. We love it. We bring our friends to Universal. I'm sure you've had that where you're like, hey, I'm at Universal, and they're like, again. And you're like, of course, because it's a little different every time, but it's also comforting to come back to that home set. Mm-hmm. So it's like the inclusivity. You guys talked about not liking to run. I will have to say, I say running, but I am a run walker. Okay. So I was never the fastest person in gym class, right? I hated the presidential mile. But as an adult, I loved the community around running. And I think combining two communities really makes this a special group. We have a chance to meet people from different walks of life. And this sounds ridiculous, but we're just so bloody nice. Like, we're so nice to each other. We're so welcoming. And it sounds so cheesy, but it's so true. Like, that's why people come back. We like each other, and we like who we are when we're in this group.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Just I second that.
You guys have this, like you said, you brought it together on two different fronts of a passion and love for the parks, which that's, one thing that people see. And then running, and you have these two hobbies and passions and things that your interests are. So it brings that together. Whereas if it was just the parks, well, maybe we don't like anything else from there. But no, we love running and we love the parks. So we're going to get along really well. I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
We like to say work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Austin, I never correlated. So I've run a lot, not in the group, sadly. I really want to join one day, but I never put it together that you go to Universal typically for escapism, and a lot of people run for escapism. And like, I have my like aha moments while running 99% of the time, or I have the like breakthrough conversation or these like really beautiful moments. 'Cause it's like the vulnerability of running, whatever it is, whatever the pushing hard through like sweat and tears, whatever that like can happen with running. And then you combine it with this escapist Universal Harry Potter, whatever it is for you. I just can't imagine how like magical that group is. Like, you guys probably have some like really big heart to hearts, I'm imagining, while running. Or unless it's just me, I'm the one that just
absolutely.
my load on everyone.
I was gonna say, like, the friendly conversations. Like, I'm a transplant, as I mentioned, to Orlando, and the amount of new things I've learned about Orlando in the past year that I didn't know in the previous 5, just because we have a chance to chat for longer.
Yes.
It has been amazing. To be fair, I have seen on the Universal Orlando, annual pass holder page, I've seen Portofino. I didn't know where it was until my first run with Run Club. I'm like,
yeah.
I was always wondering how to get there. Like, I had never known how to drive there, what the lake looked like. And so it's like those hidden gems that someone who's local may not go to the hotel.
Yeah.
But now that I know where it is, I'm like, okay, this could be a fun staycation. Things like that.
Our Uber driver nearly crashed coming round the lake when we stayed there 2 years ago, because that reveal coming round, he was like, holy we were like, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. But also, what a great route to run or walk.
Yeah, absolutely.
'Cause I love that walk every day.
Yeah. Well, and to go back just for a moment too, I kind of wanted to piggyback off of that point that you were making about the feeling that's very specific with UORC, right? I knew this was going to be something. I mean, 5 years ago, before I moved, I would be working 50, 60 hours a week, right? And coming home and putting all of my mind, my heart and my soul into trying to further myself to get into the themed entertainment industry and specifically get connected with Universal. And running was just that kind of tool, right? To keep me focused and motivated and centered. And I can absolutely guarantee you that if I didn't have it, I would not be here and we would not be having this conversation. That is very obvious to me. And furthermore, going back to what you were talking about when we're actually there and the feeling that we experience, look, I'm not ashamed to tell you, at least once a month, this club brings me to tears. I mean, they don't always see it, but just sometimes after dreaming about this for so long and hoping that it was really going to impact people's lives in a big way, just standing back and watching everybody up there, having friendly conversation, and, none of it's toxic. It's all positive. Like, where are you going to find that in the world these days? So to just witness that happening, it's such an incredibly emotional experience. And I'm so incredibly grateful for everyone who's come out to really make this club what it is.
Yeah. The theme park community can be, at large, a very toxic place. I'm sure you've encountered it over the years of being part of it.
No, never.
But you find your little niche in it, like you have with the Run Club, like we have with the podcast, and then you those people who are similar to you, like you've said, that those people that you hang out with at Run Club, you attract very similar natured people to you, and then you find that group. It's the same with us, with our producers club and just our listeners. Like, some of my best friends in the world I have now are because of this. And it's that same thing when you find your little niche in that overall bigger picture. It will become like family.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
You brought the point home exactly. I think we are obviously a lot online nowadays, and it's hard to meet new friends that you want to see. It's hard to make new friends.
Yeah.
And Universal is a place to make new friends, but not everyone has those separate hobbies. So it's nice, as you said, to have that intersection of hobby of running and Universal and have a reason to go.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not always outside every day. I work, I'm in front of a desk and I forget to sometimes go outside and enjoy the sunshine and the roses. So this gives me a weekly reminder on the weekends, get up, go to Universal, have some fun chats and get your body moving. So I love it.
Yeah.
Hate to say it, but I do.
I think we all look forward to it every week.
About it, but I love it. I'm so glad Austin had come up with the idea for this. But
awesome.
Now we have to see if we can get you guys to join us a time or two.
Well, I'm going to say, if there's ever a place on the planet that I'm going to run, it's at Universal.
Yeah.
Oh, just wait, Lee. Once you hear the whole spiel, I think you might be sold. Just give it some time.
Austin, I have a question. Just it's in the back of my mind from your story that you said. How long did it take to accomplish those 556 miles? I don't know why I can't get over that.
Yeah.
I just want to know.
Well, believe it or not, in terms of seasoned runners, this is actually not all that impressive. But it was
You're
just
talking
under
to the
a
least
year.
seasoned people right now. So go ahead.
Yeah. No. But in all honesty, I started it on my birthday of January 31st, and I believe I completed it just short of Thanksgiving. So it was a little under 1 year. I'd say about 9 to 10 months.
Okay.
Which is still pretty fast for the not average runner, even me. That's still pretty incredibly.
Yeah, that's light speed for Michelle.
Well, so and to give you a little bit of a breakdown of how that worked, by the way, just so it seems a little bit less insane. Basically what I did was I broke it up week by week, right? So I did the basic math and I figured out that I was going to have to run 9 miles a week. So I did a short run, a medium kind of easy run at a lower pace, and then a long run at the end of the week. And I separated those with days to heal in between. I was still going to the gym and active recovery in between and all that stuff that if any of your listeners are runners, they're very familiar with. But really, to be very clear, it wasn't about the physical aspect, right? It was all about the mental. How I was changing as a person through doing this is really what attracted me to it in the first place. So it was all about consistency, right? I mean, I think we've all heard the adage about, well, if you make your bed, you can change your world, right? So this was my version of making my bed every morning and being consistent and having something to be proud of. That really showed me that I could be a better version of myself.
Yeah. Like this is going to sound ridiculous for someone who doesn't run, but 9 miles a week doesn't sound like that much when you put your mind to it. But when you're factoring in work and life and all the rest of it, finding that time to do that is a big ask in a week.
Oh yeah, and there were a lot of sacrifices along the way. I mean, there were certainly some friends that were mad at me and family members that were mad at me at certain points because they would be like, hey, I've got this thing going on, do you want to come do this? And I'd be like, hey, look, I love you, but I got to get out and I got to run. So if it conflicts with that, I got to do it. And also, I did neglect to mention, one of the other pieces of advice from that team member was that I had to finish my run before the sun came up.
Okay.
He said that was very, very important. And since then, I've become a morning runner, and I can tell you that even just getting up early alone, that little bit of extra time that gives you, right? I mean, even if you're just doing it to rope drop IOA or Universal Studios, it makes a huge difference in how much time and just how much less stress there is in a day, right? So I would say even just that change alone made all the difference in the world. You couple that with most people are getting up, right? And just getting out the door, and you're on the tail end of the hardest thing that you're going to do that day, and you're walking by and both waving at each other, it's a pretty good feeling.
Did you hear that, Chris?
I heard morning and run, so I don't know what those two words are. Yeah.
That's
I'm look into it, though.
I didn't drink that Kool-Aid either. I will do it on Saturdays. I'll do it on my long run days, but the other days I enjoy my Lions.
Yeah.
Well, and to be fair, we do meet up pretty early in the morning. So we're all there at the parking gate at 7 a.m. And would you like to know why we're there at 7 a.m.?
Go on.
Yeah.
Because they're not open at 6.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, before COVID, and it was COVID that stopped me doing this, for what was about 18 months?
Easily.
Something happened, and I don't know what it was because I didn't do exercise, didn't do anything. I literally woke up one day and something had switched in my brain. And I started getting up at 6 o'clock every morning, and I would start my morning with a 5-kilometer walk every day. And I did that every day, no rest days, for a good 18 months.
Yeah.
I changed my diet, and I started weight training as well every day. And then COVID hit, and it all went very, very wrong.
Yeah,
but weirdly, I have been talking to you, haven't I, just recently about picking this up again.
And to your point, Austin, Tracy's mental health at that point was the best it's been in a long time. It's that part of it's probably the biggest part of it. Like you've said, that mental part of it is bigger than the physical part of it for a lot of it. Yeah, it's huge.
And like you said that.
Oh yeah.
But when you're done, then your day starts, and you've got all those extra hours as well, and you're already energized. And it's.
I love how Chris is like, yeah.
Yeah, Kayla, are you a morning runner or what type of runner are you?
I'm a morning runner. Similar when you said about running in the morning. I was like chuckling that in Florida you have to run in the morning so you don't like have a heat stroke.
Yeah.
Whereas for us in the summer, same, and then. But winter, sometimes running. I trained for the dopey, which we have to train through November, December, holidays, whatever. And like you said about when, you remember that you've done hard things, that I remember we hosted Thanksgiving and we had to like bake the turkey. So we had to be up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. It's like November. It was the first day it snowed, and I was running 18 miles or something bananas. And to make it fun, I tested wearing my Alice in Wonderland costume. So I'm running in like Maryland in an Alice in Wonderland costume at 4 o'clock in the morning. And it sucked. Nice. It was cold and it was hard, and I did it. And I remember in like hard work moments or life moments of like that time I did that, and like I can do this.
Yeah, you're not selling me on it, Kayla.
Yeah, that's a great story,
Universal Run Club.
I know.
Yeah. We have very similar mindsets.
If I may too, I think you'll actually really appreciate this. It's not something that I had planned to discuss, but just a quick little story. It's kind of more toward the end of that journey when I was completing that mileage. So I'm sure you're all familiar with IAPA, right? Down here in Orlando. Yeah. So I was at IAPA of 2022, and it's a pretty intimidating atmosphere if you've never been in the industry before, right? As an outsider, if you're not there with someone, right, then you're kind of just walking around and nobody knows who you are, and it can't. I wouldn't say it's unfriendly, but it's not necessarily the most social place to be in that scenario.
Okay.
So here I am, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, coming all the way down from North Carolina. I've got all my props in the back of my truck that I'm looking to show off and kind of say like, hey, this is what I can do. Does anybody need any help? Blah, 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 blah. And just kind of network in general. And it was a very, very discouraging environment for me. And to be fair, a lot of that was probably in my own head, right?
Yeah.
But I do remember very specifically the moment where I realized I was the person that I had always wanted to be in life and why I set out to do all this in the first place. And it took place the morning of the last day of IAPA when I almost didn't go back because I was just so discouraged and beating myself up. And I said, I know exactly how to fix this. So I turned around from where I was, went back to the hotel, put on my running shoes, and I did a 6K at a brutally challenging pace all the way around Universal. And I mean, I literally pushed myself just about as hard as I could possibly go. And when I got to the end of it, I just had this realization that, okay, if you can do that, nobody's going to get in your way.
Yeah.
So I went back to the show and I made 3 contacts that would actually end up in me getting my first job in the industry.
Nice.
And had I not had that experience, there's a very good chance that none of what I've realized today would have actually come to pass, and I would still be up in Charlotte wondering what I'm doing with my life.
Wow.
All right, so I'm very jealous. I wish I lived in Orlando. Can you explain what's the average meetup look like?
Sure, I'll take this one.
Yeah, take that one, Amanda.
Yeah, so basically every Saturday, as Austin mentioned, we meet at we open once the garage is open. So at 7 a.m. and we give everyone a little bit of time to get into City Walk through security. So at 7:30, we meet at City Walk, right next to the Red Coconut Club, which is, as you walk in to City Walk, it's where the bridge is, where you see like the Welcome to Universal Orlando sign is. And so we get up there, we're having our morning chat and our catch up every week. And then we start running. So we have a wide range of paces that are welcomed, right? And I think that's one of the special things about, the UROC is that we're not just for the fast runners. We're not just, for the casual, we are for the casual runner. I'm going to say that, but we are for people who want to run and are trying to improve. And so we have a range of paces between running all the way to walking for people to join. So we do scenic routes. So I'm part of the running and walking part. And we go to the Portofino, we go to the Sapphire, and we just go around the resorts. The one thing I'm going to say it, so it's official online, we do not run in City Walk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no one from Universal, if you're listening to this later, we do not run in the parks.
Yeah.
We run on the garden paths.
Okay.
We want to make sure we're safe as well,
Yes.
and not making ourselves a hassle to the other resort guests.
Yeah.
That's
Can
good.
I share a bad random story?
Sure.
I was running. So I was running the same thing. I was running the garden path, and I forget what I did, but I ended up that I had to walk through City Walk. Maybe it was the first time I ever ran it, and I didn't realize there wasn't a way around it, and you have to go from the one security entrance to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So I was walking, and there was a guy running, and he was in running clothes, and I'm like, well, he's doing it. So I followed him, and then I filmed him and posted it on Instagram that I was like, I met my friend running, and I don't know this guy, and I just followed him through. And then people are messaging me why are you stalking this poor strange man? Anyway, I ran through City Walk once because the guy coerced me to do it that I don't know. And don't do that, everyone.
Yeah, no. I will say Universal's getting a little chattier with us to remind us not to run through it. So I think we're trying to be more proactive too about telling everyone don't run in City Walk. It's not safe. I feel like that school mom, no running. No running in the hallways.
And Amanda, I wanted to interject there actually just to say one thing as well, to specifically make sure that we're in line with Universal's policies. We have checks in place as well. One of the things that we do when people come, they have to sign an acknowledgement form, making sure that they understand the code of conduct for the resort, which does include their running policies. And then they actually get a wristband, which is a nice little free souvenir as well.
Yep.
That lets us know that they've seen and acknowledged all of that. So we're really, in all that we do as a club, down to the tiniest detail, we're very, very focused on maintaining a consistency with Universal Orlando Resort.
Yes.
That's really good.
That's awesome. Yeah, very respectful.
But that's exactly the same when we've hosted our weekenders, that Michelle has been very specific about that. As a group of people frequenting the parks together, don't get in other people's ways. We don't want to, we want Universal to welcome us back when we go back next time. So don't get in the way of other guests. Let's leave the parks the same way we found them. Because why would you want to risk? I mean, we know there was that whole thing that happened last year with the group meetups and thing, that obviously with you guys keeping yourself within those guidelines, that you're doing everything you can to not go against what Universal are trying to put out there. And that's only going to put you guys in good stead with them, which is what we all want at the end of the day.
Exactly right. And Lee, to your point, right, two things that I would say. The first is that we all wear neon. So we don't have anything to hide.
Yes.
And that may be a bit of a pun as well. And number
not
two,
everyone has to wear neon. You are allowed to wear your favorite Universal tee.
It is strongly encouraged. So the second part of that, right, is that we are very appreciative of Universal welcoming us and allowing us to do this on property. I mean, we understand they have a huge business to look after, right? They have so many moving parts. And as a club, an unofficial organization coming in and trying to start our own thing, we have to be very, very mindful of that. And it's, for both selfish and selfless reasons. And it comes down to reputation, which so far we seem to have pretty squeaky clean reputation on property. One of the examples of how we've achieved that is every morning before we start out for our runs, walks, or jogs, we ask everybody while they're grouped together to find and single out a team member or a security officer and thank them for all they do for the resort and allowing us to be here. Like just that tiny little thing, right? It makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of fun. I'm sure if you've ever been on the garden paths, you see the boats that are going back and forth, the water taxis. And so it's also fun to just be a runner in a group and chatting. And then you see the boat honk at you and they wave. And every so often they will challenge us to see who gets through security first. And I'm going to let you know a secret. It is not us. Boats are definitely faster than us on the running paths. But it's just like this.
Whoa, hang on a sec now. I am undefeated,
maybe
Amanda.
the running group, maybe Austin's group. But in my slower pace group, we have yet to beat the boat. But it's like fun. Like we have like boat bingo where like we'll be like, oh, do we see this boat today? You know, things like that. It's just like a fun way to bring conversation in and like enjoy the resort for what it is.
Yes.
It's you know, there's so much like inside history and inside jokes that Universal make available to us that I'm learning every weekend. Something new that I'm like, oh, you know, like to be honest, I have a list of all the boat names right now that one of the boat captains provided.
Awesome.
And you know, it's kind of fun. She's just like, you know, keep it on the down low, but we have 12 boats out this weekend and, you know, see if you can get all 12. And so like they kind of know to make it a little bit of fun for us too, because they see us every weekend, which is a nice little inside joke.
It's like a way to keep, you know, a place that's been around for 30 plus years fresh. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, me and my wife would do the same thing for Universal in a different aspect, but we would write down notes every time we were listening to this podcast before I was even on the show, where it was just little things that we didn't even know about. And we write a list of things to try something new every single time we did that, or did some piece of trivia or something. So in that same aspect, you guys are adding something outside of the realm of just going to a theme park.
Right, exactly. And there's plenty of opportunities to do that, right? You don't have to look far, like you said. I mean, just striking up conversation friendly with people is just all you really need to find out. What are those little things that we can then turn into an experience for our members? And, I mean, I like to think we do a pretty good job of doing that. And at the same time, as I said before, it's all about showing that respect back to the venue that allows us to be there in the first place. So, you know, thanking them for being there and showing the respect and going above and beyond, right, is so crucial to our success. I'll share with you also with our events team, we just had a meeting recently. And one of the things that we all decided on is that, you know, but whenever we book any kind of a function, yes, we need to make sure that our organization is being taken care of. But first and foremost, we have to make sure that we're doing everything we can to be minimally invasive of the venues that we're occupying.
Absolutely.
So, for example, when we make a reservation for Hard Rock, right, we're not making it at 6:30 or 7 o'clock on a Friday night.
Yes.
And even as individual groups, we ask that our members don't just show up with all of their UORC gear on and say, hey, there's 4 of us, you know, working in food and beverage myself. I understand, you know, the things that they're looking for in their ideal groups, and we really try to model ourselves that way to show that respect.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
very good. All right. We are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Man, we need a vacation.
Oh, I got this.
Whoa, that's awesome. But I was thinking something a little more adventurous.
Okay, how about this?
Yes!
Woo! How about some relaxation from Mama?
Oh, perfect. How did you do that?
Easy. Portkey Vacations.
For your next vacation, let Portkey Vacations take away all the guesswork and stress of planning. From air and hotel to theme park tickets and everything else in between, they've got you covered. Just visit PortkeyVacations.com and touch the Portkey to get started with your free, no-obligation quote request. With just one touch, and Portkey Vacations will magically take you wherever you want to go.
Welcome back, everyone. All right, so Austin, Amanda, right? Universal offers running trails at the hotels. And can you give our listeners any hints, any tips for those that want to go running while on vacation at Universal?
Join the club.
Well,
There's
yeah,
the
I
biggest
think
one.
that's an easy one. Yeah, just come join us.
Yes.
No, but I mean, honestly, if you can't make it out to one of our events, we do have a Facebook group page as well. We have a team that's always developing new ways to post and share our routes for the members to access. And I think we do a pretty good job of having a very, very active community of super friendly people. And they're always offering, sharing tips to enjoy running on property. So there's always a community to reach out to. And we do actively encourage our members to connect and run together on their own time. So if they want to message each other, if they want to meet up and hang out, like we're always cool with that. We are very specific about not having events that are organized outside of UORC promoted. And that's just kind of, to keep that relationship with Universal squeaky clean, as I mentioned before. But we also don't want to stop people from treating this as a community at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like I work downtown Orlando, and I've definitely, since I joined the group in June, gone out on a Tuesday or Thursday afternoon. We meet and we run around the garden paths, and then we go in the parks. I probably tried the weirdest food after running in the evening because it's just like, I don't feel like going on a ride. I just really came to see, and it's like a different vibe at night. Like when we're running on Saturdays, I hate to say it, it's sunny. It's a Saturday morning, right? So coming during the week in the evening, it kind of gives a different ambiance to your run and your enjoyment afterwards. So it's been a great part. But also, as I said, besides Facebook messaging, we're starting to be on the running apps. So Strava, we have a running group on there with the maps on there as well. And so if you're a Strava stalker, so going back to your story, Kayla, I ran one Saturday, and on Strava, it's like, you ran with so-and-so. I'm like, I did not run with so-and-so. But Strava is also finding people to find each other when you run at the same time. So it's been interesting.
Do you run around at all, or can you explain? Because I know the garden path is, how long is that?
So
it's not that long.
It's
I'm
not
curious,
that long.
Yeah, like how do you guys, how many miles do you do?
I will explain. We do split. So Austin and his group go out through the garden paths and go around the resort on the roads, a little bit on the sidewalks and things like that. And then they come back in through the other garden path. Okay. With the Run Walk group, we are a little slower pace, which is perfectly acceptable, right? I'm definitely not looking to get that fast.
Sounds fantastic.
But I like a little sweat equity. So we go down through Portofino and we come around. Then we take a very rewarding walk break through City Walk. It is much needed at the middle part of the day, especially for someone who's coming back to running or exercising after a while. Yeah. That walk break is crucial. And then at the time, I usually check in with the people I'm running with, and I say, "Are we feeling more like running? Do we feel more like walking?" Like we gauge what's the average comfort level for that day. And then we either run walk to the other side to go to Sapphire Falls. We have different places for photos, that we go, and you're a slow runner when you intentionally have places to take a photo. So like there's the globe photo. There's, the statue who's on the pathways. Like there are several places that if I forget to take a photo, people will tell me. They're like, "Hey, we forgot our photo today." And I take that as it's time for a walk break. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. We vary it up a little bit, and depending on how fast we are that day, we sometimes go a little further. We go over some of the bridges that are around the resorts, and then so we do vary it a little bit. We have a little bit of flexibility, but it's mostly on the garden paths for the Run Walk group and the walking group.
Yeah. And to add to that, I mentioned earlier that when I was down here for IAPA, I actually completed a 10K around the resort, which for anyone listening who may not know, that is 6.2 miles. Mm-hmm. So you can very easily make a pretty long route out of Universal. But I'll be honest with you, some of that does encourage pathways that we actively discourage our members from going on, just because of the interaction with behind the scenes team member areas, roads and things like that. But I would say on your own, if you want to get creative, there's so many different really awesome places to run on property. UORC just kind of picks the best and the most beautiful, and we stick with those.
And let's be honest, there's some really nice places.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have a favorite? Because it sounds like you've been at the resorts a while, right? So as you go through the garden paths, is there a favorite place that we should look for a new photo op? As I said, I'm always happy to have
my favorite spot, which it's so I virtually did the Dopey Challenge, and I purposefully did it at Universal. I did my half marathon and full marathon around Universal. This is my proudest thing of a little bit of a negative towards the mouse, even though I gave the
Hey, we
mouse money
encourage
for the
that.
medals, but whatever. I did it at Universal. I finished one of the halves in, this is so weird, this claim to fame of this location. It was in the Exorcist video, the promo for the Exorcist house. And they're walking, and it's like these very, like, the trees are beautiful, and it's like swampy looking. Like it's there's whatever that is.
Okay, I'm gonna have to like sort out the promo and figure out where it is. And if you see a photo come up this weekend or next, it's inspired by you.
Like I was like watching with my husband. I'm watching this HHN promo, and we both go, oh, "Hey, our half marathon!" Like, so bizarre.
No, I mean it's like things like Abbey Road at the Hard Rock Hotel. Like, it took me probably until this January to find it, and I've been running that route ages. Like it was just like a little detour. Someone's like, let's check this out, or let's check out this garden. It's a little fun to be spontaneous, and then as you said, explore new places, and it just enhances your enjoyment of a space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to be honest, I've been living here almost a year to date now, and I run several times a week. And between that, I'm just walking back and forth to the parks. And I will tell you that at least once a week, I find something that I've never seen before.
Wow.
So I think that really says it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we know how important eating the right things are when it comes to exercise. Do you have any tips on where are the best places on property to refuel after your run or walk?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say we do try and focus on protein and carbohydrates, but we are not the food police. That is for sure. So if you want your Cinnabon or whatever, you can. But we really like the protein bowl, like we call them protein bowls. But the burrito bowls at Moe's, they have steak or chicken, and they're just delicious.
Good
and
idea.
They come with a side of tortilla chips that you may not think it's ready for breakfast. It is amazing after a run. Like that salt, you get it, get a little extra carbs and protein.
I was just going to say, when you said tortilla chips, I'm like, the salt.
Salt. We have to rehydrate, right? Electrolytes. The overnight oats at the Today Cafe are winners.
I really want to try them.
Yeah. We have done the Hard Rock Cafe and the breakfast buffet. And one of the events we did have at Hard Rock, like it was just so welcoming for the team members to be there to show their favorite part of the Hard Rock. And then also just like the food was delicious, right? We are not always the healthiest eaters after a run. I'm just going to be honest. Universal leads us astray.
Running sounds awesome so far.
Calories in and calories out. But it's a delicious disaster, is what I would say. But yeah, there are definitely healthier things to eat, and we've definitely found all of them. So if you ever come and visit and you want something healthy for yourself, you just have to ask them and be like, hey, have you had this? Like, have you had a bagel sandwich? Have you had, the burrito bowls? It's available and we found them.
I'm one of those people that uses exercise as an excuse to then go, oh, well, I've exercised today, which means I can eat twice as much as I normally do.
Yeah, exactly. No, Voodoo Donuts is a temptation as we walk past it twice.
Yes. I remember in the beginning days of UORC, I had gone out and run something similar to a 5K. And I was walking back and I smelled those donuts. And I'm like, I have to do it. So I walked in and I grabbed literally a dozen.
Wow.
Not knowing what I was going to do with those. Brought them back to the apartment. And I had a couple friends over that afternoon just so we could polish them off.
Yeah.
No, I will say also like the fest, like Mardi Gras and like things like Halloween Horror Nights where they have the food booths that are specific. I think that's been a bit more fun to go into the park after a run because we know there's new unique food to try.
Okay.
So that actually is an unintentional benefit of going into Run and Ride Saturdays is during those themed areas and themed zones, you really get to try it. You have a reason to try a bit more than maybe you would as the average annual pass holder of coming in and, going to your normal ride and going to your normal place. So the food booths have been fun for us.
Yeah. And to boot, after you participate in a UORC event, you're usually so hungry that, you want to go in and eat everything. So everything looks good.
I know they don't do it anymore, but it sounds like you need to try the kitchen sink challenge at the Hard Rock Hotel. Try doing that after one of them.
We have heard of this.
So we've tried it twice and failed miserably twice. We did it a group of 10 back in 2013.
Wow.
Right, I'm going to hear that back because I didn't hear what Tracy just said there, so I guess I'm going to catch that in editing.
Miserably, I love that.
Hey, the first time round, how many of us did it?
10.
10. And I was the first female to
You
attempt it.
were.
I was the only one. And I also ate more than any of them.
You did.
So thank you. I was not miserable. I was just very full.
Yeah, I might have to skip breakfast and dinner the night before taking on that challenge.
You can still do it, but they don't officially do it anymore. But the problem is, it used to be, so it's the burger, fries, and a fried pickle, and a slice of the kitchen cake. And it used to be, I think it was $42 to do the challenge. Now, because they don't do it officially, you have to buy everything separate. So the burger's like $25, and the cake itself is $42 on its own.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it is a substantial slice of cake. But
It's a tower.
It's as big as your head. It's huge.
Okay, so what I'm hearing
I was
is the
gonna
next
ask you if
time
it
you
was the
guys
whole
come,
cake.
you're going to join us when we do this challenge.
Yes.
You don't have to convince Tracy. She's already in.
I'm there.
To be fair, Chris, you have said you're going to try it at some point.
At some point, yes. Maybe I have to run a 30K to even try to accomplish this.
I mean,
but
the trick is not to run after this event, right?
Okay.
So we got to run beforehand.
Honestly,
Okay.
Yeah.
there's not even any moving afterwards.
No.
I fell into a beanbag.
No, there's moseying through the parks. Like, I think when we have new people join us for Run and Ride Saturdays, they're like, what's our first ride? And we're like, we enjoy walking the parks first. We got to settle the food we just
Yes.
ate.
Yeah,
That makes
absolutely.
I mean, I would do a 5K, try this, and then I'd have to be on an ECV the rest of the day. Like that would probably be my full day.
Yeah, it sounds
Well,
about right.
UORC doesn't have medical tents yet, but maybe you can look forward to that in the future.
There you go.
Wow. Well, that took a turn.
Little one.
All right, sorry.
Okay.
My thing moved. Running events are a big deal at Disney, which I've already a little bit talked about. But it's not something Universal has really gotten into other than the running Universal 5K back in February 2020, which breaks my heart. Did either of you do the 5K?
No, I remember seeing it, and I had just done a Disney race. I'm like, oh, I'll get it next time. I'll choose Universal next time. And obviously, I'm kicking myself in the butt.
Yeah, thanks,
waiting.
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, COVID.
Austin, did you?
I'm so confused. What's
The running
a
Universal,
Disney
did you do
World?
it?
Oh, Austin, I like you.
That's a perfect answer right there.
Is that that thing with the
Ignoring-
Is that thing with the mouse you were talking about
Yeah.
earlier?
Yeah. Ignoring the mouse, did you do
Alright.
the running? Did you do the running Universal 5K back in February of 2020?
So, unfortunately, I was not able to attend. I wanted to go, but I found out way too late, and I wasn't able to get off for work.
Ah.
I think if I remember rightly, Maddie from Rush of Fear did it. I'm sure Maddie did
Was
it
that
because
when
she covered it for us.
Was that when it rained a lot?
I think so.
I think so. We had a couple members who every so often they wear their T-shirt from the event,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
the amount of jealousy that gets brought
Oh,
up.
I bet.
Yeah.
Right, everyone in the group like, oh, you did that.
Yeah.
But they said it was amazing,
was really
which makes
smart,
it even
wasn't
worse
it?
that it hasn't come back.
And see, it's a little different than regular T-shirts, right? If you want to go on and buy yourself like a vintage Hulk or a Dueling Dragons T-shirt, that's fine. You can wear that. But the running community doesn't really
No.
accept people buying shirts
Yeah.
from races they didn't go on. So that one is not in my closet.
Is it like you'll bury yourself with that shirt? right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's to the point where I've had races canceled because of weather, and I paid the money. It just you get nothing really back, and I threw away the shirt. I think I threw away the medal. Like I don't hang it because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I do agree with that one. It's tough for me. Like if I didn't choose it as a virtual race, right? It's tough for me to like, well, I didn't earn this one. They didn't ask me for a proof of time. No, I get that.
Yeah,
But
I did.
Yeah.
I did the virtual. So I didn't know. I think I was like getting into. I found out about Disney running, and then I was wondering if Universal did it. Googled it, and I saw it, and I like signed up for a virtual event. Then it turned out it was a past event that was in Hollywood, and I emailed, and they sent us our merch. Like we did the 5K. So I have a troll. I have Poppy with like hair. Troll 5K from Universal Hollywood.
that is so
Yeah.
Random fun fact.
I'm like, good to know that on the off chance if I ever miss a virtual run, just email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chance you
That's
out.
a great
Yeah,
medal.
exactly. So
I don't
all
know
jokes
how it
aside,
happened.
though, look, I do know what Disney is. It's probably going to be the only time that you'll hear us talking about
That's
Walt
good.
Disney World or
Good.
Run Disney. But look, we do have to give credit where credit's due, right? I mean, what they've built down there is nothing short of amazing.
Yeah.
And it's definitely been a source of inspiration for us, I would say, in a very, very big way. And with the size of the properties in mind between Disney and Universal, I think it's a little more challenging to host a comparable event here at
Yes.
Universal.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's not impossible. And the response, like you said, that we saw from the Running Universal 5 and 10K was overwhelmingly positive. And it's a pretty good indicator that future events could be very successful. I will tell you that UORC is taking a different approach from what's been done by Disney or Universal in the past. We can't really share a whole lot on that right now, but we really can't wait to show everybody what that means as the future unfolds.
That's exciting.
As far as your question as to what we'd like to see in a full-scale Universal running event, we have a ton of ideas floating around. I will tell you that. Unfortunately, again, we can't really share them quite yet because, as a little bit of a teaser, UORC may not exactly be waiting for Universal to host such an event themselves.
Oh.
So, look, rest
Trailer.
assured, we've got really big dreams, and our admin team is taking steps every day to turn them into reality. We really want to do something big for the UOA, the UOAP, and the running community, especially in Orlando and people all over the world. In the meantime, hey, we have at least one event every week for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So come on out and check it out.
It'll be interesting to see if Universal do anything as far as runs once Epic Universe opens, because I would potentially think they may have a lot more space down at Epic to be able to do things like this, which would be interesting.
Amanda, he's on to us.
He's on to us, right? No, we have literally had this conversation among us as we're running around and being like, wouldn't it be great? And not even URC motivated, but I'm sure if you've been on the UOAP pages, you might have seen a couple like petitions for Universal to bring back Run Club or a running event.
Yeah.
So it's happening within URC and outside of URC to kind of entice Universal. So we're almost like, are they waiting for Epic Universe to be done?
Probably.
Like we're crossing fingers.
Yeah.
We also want to move forward because we don't want to wait and then it's still not be nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys doing this every week is going to keep that in Universal's mind, that this is something that people are interested in.
Yeah.
And then if they don't jump on that, then really they're missing out as well. But then that's good for you guys, because then you guys can move forward with it. It's a win-win either way,
to be fair, Lee, really, and I want to make this very clear because this comes up a lot in conversation with us, both internally and with the members. We don't really view any move that Universal makes on that front as a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because say they decide that they want to do a running event, right? Well, that's similar to how Disney is doing it down the road. That doesn't bother us because we're trying to build a community, not an events hosting service.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with either one of those things, but they are different enough that they don't necessarily cancel each other out.
No.
So if Universal brings the runners, they're coming to UORC as a result. And if UORC builds a community and or possibly a race in the future, that would just benefit Universal as well.
Absolutely.
So it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, is how we're trying to grow alongside Universal and their goals. And so really, whatever happens is going to be good, I would say, for the UOAP community, Universal, UORC, and maybe even your podcast. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, this is something where we're all kind of in this together.
Yeah.
And Universal seems to really be on board with that mentality. So until that changes, we're happy with any developments that we see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like you're going to go ahead doing your thing, and if Universal want to kind of jump alongside it, then brilliant.
Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to another Universal fan group. I forget where it was. And I was talking about the Run Disney is just an example because, as Austin just said, I mean, they really do a pretty fantastic job with the Run Disney community. And it would be it would be silly of Universal not to look at them as
Yeah.
kind of an example. But what people don't realize, what I have learned as I talk to non-runners, or that people don't realize, Run Disney events are primarily road running. You are not running through a lot of park.
Yeah.
And as time and time has gone on, it's more and more road. And they do really amazing things. I'm not trying to knock Disney for that. It's, I think, an unnecessary evil. But they do really cool things along the road. They have old parade floats out. They put characters out, whatever. What people don't realize, that's back to when I was asking Austin and Amanda about the routes, it is more difficult. It's just, I'm being honest, it's more difficult to map a longer route around Universal. When I did the half marathon and marathon, we were running a lot of loops around the same places. We ultimately, I don't know if you want to edit this out, I don't know if this is bad, we ran to Shingle Creek Trail, which is a little bit on roads. We had to go a bit. That's why I don't know if that's like an unsafe. We felt safe running it. But anyway, my point, when Epic, the fact that they bought some roads, like I have just, as soon as I found out about whatever road, I'm like, holy poop, this is it. Like, we can have run events. We can have run events. And I'm hoping that Epic is designed in a way, because the other thing is that some of the parks are not run friendly. So I'm sure everyone can understand, like, if you've been there when it's running, which you can't control the weather, the Hogwarts Bridge is extremely slippery.
Yes.
It's pretty narrow. Like, some of the, I think Islands is narrow. I think Studios is way more run friendly if you were to run through parks. And I'm like, fingers crossed that they are building Epic with running in mind, to the point where I was slow-mo watching the Epic release thing they did for like a runner running in the background. Like, this is their teaser. This is my moment.
Well, and to your point, right, there are those obstacles, and sometimes they're easy to navigate, sometimes they're not so easy. And just a little bit of insider knowledge on this, when a company like Universal or Disney decides to do something like a 5K or a marathon, or something along those lines, a run, they almost always hire a third-party company that specializes in creating turnkey running events.
Okay.
Now, there's not a whole lot of those to be had in the United States, but there are some of them that are very, very reputable, and they've been in business for a long time. Okay. I will tell you, without telling you too much, that some of the leadership team with UORC has been kind of scouting around and meeting with some of those people and saying, like, what are the obstacles? How could we potentially overcome them?
Okay.
So that if there ever does come a time and day when Universal has interest in hosting these type of events, we're just poised as the most competent people to do the job.
Yeah.
Right?
Perfect.
I mean, that's the ultimate goal. So.
Okay.
This is amazing. I'm so excited.
Kayla's going to be gutted if none of this stuff comes true now.
It's coming true.
Kayla's like manifesting it.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been manifesting this for years. It's happening.
As I said, we're all waiting.
Well,
but,
we'll see. Keep your fingers crossed.
See. Yeah. But in the meantime, again, those Saturday runs, it's a good way to get your Universal fix. We've had unofficial things where we wear like a theme shirt for the run, just to like bring our love in, of Universal and running together. We do wear neon, but we also can sometimes have like someone be like, I really love this. And we're like, oh, let's wear that next weekend.
Okay.
Oh, I like that.
So it's kind of, it's an unofficial thing. It's not an official event. It's just more like, hey, I want to wear my, Trolls shirt this weekend. I want to wear my Minions shirt. Like when Minions opened, like we were so excited. Like we ran, we had our Minion shirt on, and then we went to
that was fun.
the preview. It was so much fun.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, we have one member of our leadership team who's always showing up in something Jurassic Park related. Like if he doesn't have a Jurassic Park shirt on, we're like, hey, is everything okay? Are you good? You need a hug? Like, what's going on? Yeah, it's really cool to see that fandom of Universal at play in our club as well. I mean, people come out to run, but at the end of the day, they're coming to Universal, right? And there's no denying that. It's really cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
It's that thing as well of you guys that because you're not running through the parks, people can get involved even if they don't have a park ticket. It's not something that's exclusive to people visiting Universal Orlando, which is cool. So people listening who aren't able to go at the parks that much, you can still get involved. I love the fact that you've got the two different groups, because I think when people see Universal Orlando Run Club, who aren't big runners, it would potentially put them off, because you find a lot of those groups can be a little insular and can gatekeep things a little bit, especially when you get in the theme park community. But you guys aren't doing that at all, which is something you should be commended for massively, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I will, I'm going to highlight Austin's kind of fun at the beginning. So I obviously joined the group before I became part of the admin team. And one of the things I think I secretly love, I don't know if he's ever even told them, but when you're new to the group, you get welcomed by the group and we're like, oh, so-and-so is here. We ask where you're from, especially if you're visiting from, you might only be joining us for the weekend. And then we say, how do you get into running or walking? And then we say, what's your favorite food? And I think that's the funniest thing, like that, or it's just like that line of Universal, run, food, where are you from? Like, what are your favorites?
Right.
And you get to, like, it's a conversation starter once you go out on that run. Is to say, hey, oh, you said you're from DC, or hey, you said, Men in Black is your favorite one. And then you start talking about your score.
Yeah.
And, it's been one of the fun things to get to know people in a authentic way through two different loves.
And then I'm sure you've probably found on top of that friendships have been formed. Mm-hmm. So you've made this club, because we found it with the podcast, that we've brought all these people from all over the US, from all over the world together, and now there's friendships that have broken off from that, of people who are lifelong friends. The last weekender we had 5 or 6 solo travelers that came, never met each other before, joined together because we did a Seekender group. So we did with Seth Kabursky a scavenger hunt around the parks.
I heard that.
I was trying to ignore it. And they formed their own group, and now they are lifelong friends. They meet on Zoom once a month, and they meet up every time. They're going, Kaylee, you are one of them, in fact, now I'm thinking about it.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know. I'm talking and I'm not listening.
I mean, I'm pointing to it there. But
sorry, I forgot. Yes, Kaylee, you are one of them.
We meet tonight. We meet on usually the first Monday of the month. So I have them later today.
And that is amazing. It's amazing to see those groups split off from something that you guys have created. And like I say, you'll see it the same, that these friendships that people have formed because of that. And it's a testament to you guys for doing what you've done. It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, to your point, right? It is all about the people, at the end of the day. These attractions can be as amazing as they're going to be, and the running routes can be as cool as they're going to be, and the food can be great. But at the end of the day, it really is the people, right?
Yeah.
And as I mentioned before, having worked almost 15 years exclusively in the food and beverage industry, mostly as a server waiting tables, you can imagine how many different types of people I've encountered over the years, right? I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, the running community at large, and specifically UORC, like, these are some of the coolest, most humble, down-to-earth people you are ever going to hang out with.
Good.
I mean, it's amazing, the community that we've created, and we hear all the time. I think Amanda can attest to this. In fact, I remember she was telling me this in the beginning, how blown away she was by this, that when people come out that escalator, right, it's kind of nerve-wracking because they don't know what to expect. I mean, we could be super stingy and, oh yeah, we're runners, we're so cool, blah, blah. And I think some people assume that if they've never seen that community.
Yeah.
But immediately when they come up, right, we try to clap for them just for coming out and checking us out. I mean, we go above and beyond to get them welcomed in, ask them what their name is, where'd they come from, and show just a genuine interest in their contribution to that morning or the club if they decide to stick around. And I think that really sets us apart in a lot of ways. Yeah, we're there to have fun, but it really goes beyond that, right? It's deeper. It's the words of encouragement and offering a helping hand and saying, like, hey, you got this, you can do this, let's push it to the finish line. Those little tiny things, they're worth their weight in gold.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Wow.
Well, yeah, it's definitely been a handful there. Now, Austin, Amanda, we want to thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. And you've spoken about the Run Club, but can you please let our listeners know all the details they may need to know about the Universal Orlando Run Club, where they can find you to join, anything?
Well, no, thank you for having us. And as we mentioned, we're on the Facebook group, so Universal Orlando Run Club. We have a Facebook page if you don't want to join the private group. Instagram at Universal Orlando Run Club with underscores in between, and Strava. And again, just like Austin says, we don't want to hide too much, but we have another running app that's about to get launched that's more friendly to run clubs that we'll be posting. And he and I were playing around the past couple days, and so it's going to be an exciting thing. So just kind of keep up with the Facebook page is really where we give our most announcements. We have active chats on the weekends where people can chime in. You know, we've had people from out of state tell us their weekly mileage. We'll have people say, hey, I'm running late. That happens. We all have that person. And it's just like a fun place to share your success stories and catch up with each other. So definitely check it out.
Awesome. Really cool.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I second all of that. I would say if you were going to pick one of all of those things to get started, the Facebook group is definitely the place to go.
Okay.
We have been having a little bit of an issue with Facebook displaying our featured section, but if any of your listeners want to go onto that group and click on the featured tabs, that will give them like the ultimate new member guide, show them the lay of the land, answer a lot of the frequently asked questions, and they can also view any of our upcoming events in there as well.
Okay.
So yeah. I mean, we've absolutely loved being on here today and telling our story. We definitely can't wait to hear any of your listeners' stories that decide to come out and join us.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see some of you out there.
Yeah,
That'd
been
be
awesome.
really cool.
I was never expecting this episode to be as inspirational, quite honestly. Like, your story is amazing, Austin, quite honest. I was not expecting anything to that level, and it's hit, to be fair.
Yeah.
You need to hang out with more runners.
I guess I do. I never thought I'd say that.
Come on, Lee. I'm buying you a pair of running shoes. I'm telling you right now, if you come to Orlando and you hang out with us, UORC will personally purchase you a brand new pair of running shoes.
Wow.
I promise you.
What? These are
Okay.
Lee, this is expensive. I don't know if you know how much running shoes cost nowadays. You need to jump on this.
I'll tell you now that Lee has actually run before. You used to go running.
I did.
Yes. So
It's been a long time, but
Yes.
I have. I'm more
I'm back on the horse, man.
I think I'm more of Amanda's group. I think that's more my pace.
I was gonna say, dip your toe in the water, do the run walk group. As I said, when we come and I see new people join, like one of the first questions we ask is what pace you're comfortable with. If you're a run walker, what intervals do you do? Because we want to have everyone feel comfortable on that run.
And
We don't want to have
brilliant.
anyone gasping for air and being like, I am never coming back. That's not the purpose of Run Club.
And that's
we want you to build your fitness.
And to Amanda's point,
have fun.
going back to kind of what I told you in the beginning of the story, right, when I was sharing my own journey, if no one would have introduced this to me for the first time, none of the things that have come my way would have ever happened, most likely, right, best I can tell. And UORC definitely wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be having this chat right now, as I mentioned before. So really the whole goal comes down to providing a place to introduce people to this in a very comfortable environment, right? And I mean, what more comfortable environment are you going to get than Universal, right? I mean, like, seriously. So people can come out and get a taste for this in a welcoming environment that doesn't offer that pressure, that intimidation. They can just check it out. You know, if it's not for them, hey, we're happy they came out, you know, no hard feelings, but it's definitely worth giving it a try, I would say.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree.
And I think if anybody listening has even considered it, listening to Austin and Amanda, if this isn't something that you want to dip your toe in, then I think you're a bit daft, to be fair, because the pair of you who are the advocates for that group sound like the most welcoming people.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
And I know we haven't highlighted it because Austin's our runner, I'm the run walker, but we also have walkers. Like, you do not have to even run a step. You are anyone, any pace, any ability is welcome. So
yeah,
even if
and
you're sitting
to
there listening
Amanda's
at the walker,
point,
please
sometimes
join.
sometimes I take a break from running just to hang out with the walkers because they're some of the coolest people in the group. So, I mean, I think that says a lot right there, right?
It does. Because that shows that you're not, that you're, like I say, that thing is that running can be elitist, and you're showing that it's not that at all.
That inclusivity level is just phenomenal.
Absolutely.
I'm blown away.
Well, hey, I'm not doing it for the favor. I mean, I genuinely enjoy hanging out with those people.
Yeah.
So there's sometimes, I mean, I appreciate you saying that, but no, honestly, I really mean, like, I hang out with those people sometimes because I want to hang out with them.
Yes.
It's not because I'm trying to come at it from any kind of an angle. Like,
no.
You know, they're really cool people.
Yeah.
And frankly, when you're running, you can't really talk a whole lot.
No.
So hanging out with the walkers is a little more fun sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be talking if I was running. I can tell you that for now.
Wheezing.
Like struggling. Have you ever seen a fish when you take it out?
You'll join our mid-range group.
Yeah.
You know, we'll have a chat and we'll also have some fun.
What I'm hearing, Amanda, is that we might be able to collaborate in the future and do a live UUOP podcast on location.
That would be amazing.
A gasping podcast. During the walk race.
I'll be on the ECV with the water.
Yeah.
Yep.
Michelle will be on the water taxi running alongside us.
Water taxi version.
I'm glad she's not here and she doesn't listen to this.
From the water taxi. Austin's in the lead.
Absolutely.
Followed by.
All right.
No, I think we definitely have to check this out.
Yeah, without a doubt. It sounds awesome.
And honestly,
well,
you've got me fired up to go walk.
Just come hang out, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, our staple event is called Run and Ride, right? So if you don't feel like coming for the run, come for the rides.
Sounds like
get to know the community. Like,
absolutely.
It's a fun group.
Yeah.
We have some people that just come out, right? If they don't feel like running that morning or they can't make it out, they'll come out, meet us for breakfast, and then just hang out for the other half of the day to get to know the club.
Yeah,
we're all for that.
It's not required.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I did want to mention too before we wrap this up. You were talking about the accessibility as far as if people want to come check this out, they don't have to have a pass, that kind of thing. We have made it as accessible as we can, but do be aware for anyone that's thinking about coming to hang out with us that you do either have to have a pass that allows you into the parking garage complimentary, or you'll have to pay that fee in the morning.
That's a good point, yes.
There are some, there are some places around town that you can park and walk, but we don't recommend that because we don't want anyone to get towed. But just to be aware, we've made it as accessible as we possibly can, but it definitely does help to have one of those top tier passes. I believe it's the preferred and premier that allow you into the parking garage. Other than that, there's really nothing you have to do but walk up to the bridge and hang out.
Yeah. Sounds good.
It does.
Yeah. All right. Well, as we're coming near the end of the podcast, don't forget, we want you to let us know how bad Fast and Furious Supercharged is.
Pretty bad.
Look at that. They even know. And you can do this by submitting your fun fact about how bad it is, and send those over to podcast@uuopodcast.com. Just going to make sure we get those in. But yes, thank you very much, guys, for being on the show with us. I may have to look into getting up early, even.
Wow.
Wow. That's huge.
Wow.
We'll hold you to that.
We couldn't even get Chris to come out for breakfast when we were paying for it.
let me just, Lee, do me a favor. Just please double check you are recording that.
I am. Yeah, Chris, you know this is recorded for all posterity at this point now, don't you?
I know.
Alexa's,
I hear the regret.
Sunshine, Universal, and coffee.
Alexa's listening to this now, flat out on the floor because she's just passed out. What?
Hey, man, I did some early morning walks before, okay? I know what those are like.
You know that Finnegan's isn't open
early.
Listen,
I want you all to be very, very careful of what you say, because we have an army of followers that will be happy to hold you to that.
Oh, hi.
Hey, I love that.
Awesome.
All right. Well, to close off, I have a little something here where it's just a reminder, folks. If you ever find yourself out of breath, just remember, it's not because you're out of shape, because you're practicing your Darth Vader impression while running. We'll talk to you next week. See ya.
Are you insane? Get out of here. The curse, it's real. The podcast is over. So, the Magi want you to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, and Pinterest. Just search UUO Podcast. For all the podcast news and articles, check out our blog at UUOpodcast.com. Contact us by emailing us at podcast@uuopodcast.com. And if you want to join the Producers Club, email us at uupproducers@gmail.com. Silence! With your subscriptions, we shall rule for all eternity. Listen and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Not even the Magi can save you now. There is no escape. Your end shall be my beginning. Prepare yourself for your next trip by emailing Michelle at portkeyvacations.com. She can take care of all aspects of your next Universal Orlando vacation. We hope you enjoyed your podcast. Please remain seated and keep your arms and legs inside the prepare to forfeit your souls. Check out the other podcasts on the UUOP network. Rush of Fear, Halloween Horror Nights podcast, the theme park duo for all your West Coast news and info, and the Taste of Universal, Universal Orlando food podcast. So hey, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. I would have enjoyed this podcast a lot more if I had gotten my cup of coffee.